Are you presently an inmate at Attica?
Yes, I am.
Did you go to high school in Buffalo?
Yes, I did.
Did you complete high school at Buffalo?
No.
What did you do when you left high school?
I went into the service, United States Marine Corps.
Did you volunteer for the Marine Corps?
Yes, I did.
Why did you volunteer for the Marine Corps?
Well, I had blown school, you know, and I felt as if I still owed something to my parents because at the time my parents had expectations of me, you know, going to school, getting a diploma, going on to college. Consequently, I blew that when I got kicked out, right? So now, my next best thing that I thought that I could possibly make up for them was to go into the service. This is what I did.
Would you speak up, please? Would you speak up, please? For how long a period did you volunteer?
4 years.
Did you complete the entire 4 years?
No, I didn't.
Now, after getting out of the Marine Corps, did you return to Buffalo?
Right.
And upon returning to Buffalo, did you find employment?
Not right away, no.
When did you find employment? How long afterwards did you find employment?
Well, maybe somewhere between 8 months to a year. I got a steady job. Prior to that, I had was out in more or less the streets, you know.
Yeah. Have you used narcotics?
Yes, I have.
You were a junkie after you came out of the Marine Corps.
Right.
And how long were you involved with narcotics?
Approximately since 64, 65 to 71.
At any point did you abandon narcotics? During that period?
Periodically, off and on, yes.
Was there any one thing that made you abandon it?
Right. After I came out of the service, I myself felt as though I had let my family down for a second time. Mm-hmm. I got an undesirable discharge. Through trying to find myself as to what I should do in relation to job-wise, I started to hang out, right, in the street. Behind this, I was subjected to the ghetto life, drugs, hustling, stealing, sticking up, things of this nature. This is what I applied my talents to. This is the life that I got involved in. And subsequently, this is what I started doing. Shooting dope, things of this nature.
And was there anything that made you abandon it?
Right. At one point, I came to the conclusion that this is not really what I wanted. This was not what I was seeking.
And what did you then do?
I, in turn, came into contact with the militant groups that was...
Our vanishing wilderness will not be seen on STS today because of this live coverage of the New York State Special Commission on Attica.
Combat fascism, organizing bureau, supposedly of the Black Panther Party. Now, in this, I thought maybe to hear someone who's trying to do something about the situation of the everyday Joe Blow in the streets, right? I had found out that these particular people, I thought, were trying to help, right? So this is what drew me to this particular organization. I involved myself. I got involved.
What kind of things did you hope to do?
Well, what I wanted to do was clean up the populace or the area, the community in which I came from. I wanted to help the young brothers and sisters that were coming up under the conditions that I came up in. This was my main goal.
Okay, so Mr. Matthews, you got out of the Marine Corps. You then looked for a job for a year to 8 months to a year.
About that.
You finally found some kind of employment.
Right.
You then got out, became a junkie, got involved in the hip life, and then you saw that this wing of the Black Panther Party represented some hope for the community and some means of liberating the community. And then you were arrested.
Right.
Now, you were arrested for what charge?
Well, my first bus, and I've had a few. My first one was burglary. This happened in the year of '67.
Mm-hmm. Speak up, please.
This happened in the year of 1967. Now, when I had got busted for this particular job, this particular thing, I had a job at the time, right? But I lost my job. Right? I was sent to jail. You know, I got out on bail. Right? Now, during this time, off and on, I found work periodically.
Were you still using drugs at that time?
At the time, I was still, right, I was using drugs.
When you were convicted, to come to, and then sentenced to come to Attica, what did you expect to find at Attica?
Well, I had heard some very frightening tales about Attica. Nothing that I had heard about Attica was, how should I say, nice. Everything that I heard was frightening. They told me they had hardened criminals, cats that had 20 to life.
And how much time were you going to spend there?
I was going to spend, I got 5 to 10 years.
What else did you hear about Attica?
Well, I had heard that the correctional service, the correctional department, didn't take any jive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you gave them any type of static, you would be severely dealt with.
So you were convicted and sentenced to Attica, and in anticipation of going to Attica, you heard about
Right.
you heard about the nightmare of Attica.
Right.
So you arrived at Attica. When you arrived at Attica, you were sent to a reception facility.
Right.
And how long did you spend in reception?
Approximately 30 days, about a month.
And during that 30 days, I understand that an inmate goes through some kind of orientation.
Right.
Now, you were in Attica for 30 days, and this is prior to your assignment to a job.
Right.
So therefore, you had an opportunity to make further observations.
Right.
These were now your impressions of Attica.
Right.
And how did you feel about Attica having been there in reception?
Well, having been there in reception for approximately 30 days, I had a very dim view of Attica. As far as the correctional department was concerned, as far as the officers were concerned, because I could see that there was a wide gap in relationship as to inmate and officer. I could also see that there was very little or none at all rehabilitation programs. I could see that they had a very limited school education program. And all of this, quite naturally, I'm taking in because these are the things that I was supposed to be sent here for, to reorientate myself, to better myself.
You were sent to Attica for rehabilitation.
Supposedly, yeah.
Now, I understand you had an interview at Attica at the
Right.
reception center.
Right.
What takes place during this interview?
Well, you're called down in front of the PK.
The PK
Right.
is the principal keeper.
Principal keeper, right. He has 2 bars on his shoulder, white shirt, black tie, cap with a gold braid, and you rap to him. Now, he asks you, he has your record in front of him on a piece of card about so wide. So he says to me, he said, well, you got 5 to 10 years, Matthews. I said, right. He said, what do you want to do? I said, well, seeing as though that I blew my schooling, I would like to take a school program course in school. I would like to finish my high school education. He said, solid on that. He said, anything else? Do you have anything else in mind? I said, right. I said, I would like to get into some particular type of program that would give me a trade so that when I left the institution and I got back out there in the world, society, I could do something useful. He said, right. He said, well, what do you have in mind? So now I'm already aware of the limited program that they have. And at the particular time, they had a metal shop, tailor shop, and school.
Now you were a junkie prior to coming to Attica.
Right.
And you had not long before abandoned that.
Right.
Did you have any rehabilitation prior to coming to Attica?
As far as drug addiction, none whatsoever. No.
So how did you kick your drug habit when you got to Attica?
When I got to Attica, I had to more or less reorientate myself. I had to rehabilitate myself. You see, I realized that I shot dope for a particular reason. Now, what I had to do is find out the reason. And now, after I found out the reason, I had to make a supplement for this. I had to put the drugs aside and put something that would take the place of the drugs. And I know that in finding something, it would have to be on a higher level than shooting dope.
So you requested a school program?
I requested a school program, right.
And you were assigned to what program at Attica?
I requested to go to school, and I requested for the tailor shop, and I wound up in the metal shop, which I had anticipated anyway.
Why did you anticipate going to the metal shop?
Well, in the first place, all of the old heads, the prisoners that were already in there, told me, well, that's where you're going. You know, now you can ask for this, or you can shoot for that, or you can request this, or you can request that, but you're going to wind up in the metal shop. This is where I wound up, metal shop.
And why did you think, or why did they tell you that you would be going to the metal shop? Why do you think they told you that?
The fellow inmates?
Yeah.
Because the majority of them knew what was happening with the rehabilitation program, because the majority of them knew what was actually going down in the penitentiary, in the prison.
Which is what?
Which was that wherever the establishment puts you is where you're going, regardless of where you want to go.
Okay, so you were assigned to the metal shop.
Right.
I understand there are two metal shops at Attica.
Right, yeah. Right.
You were assigned to which one?
Metal 1.
And what was your first job assignment?
My first job assignment was the assembly of metal lockers, wall lockers.
And what else does the metal shop do besides assemble wall lockers?
Well, they have assembly line. They have 2 shears where they cut sheets of metal about, which are from 3 to 4 feet wide to 5 to 6 to 7 feet long. They have a machine that punch holes in the metal where you put your screws and bolts in. They have a machine that cuts several angles in the metal to place them together.
Are there a large number of black inmates in the metal shop?
Right, the majority of them are black.
The majority of inmates in the metal shop are black.
Yeah.
This is metal shop 1.
This is metal 1.
Now, what was your first assignment again?
My first assignment was assembly of the lockers.
And how much money did you earn?
About 30 cents a day.
30 cents a day.
Right.
How much money was the average inmate earning there in metal shop 1?
The average inmate, about that, unless he had been there for a period of a time, maybe 8 to 6 months or a year or 2. He might earn 45 cents, 50 cents.
Are the inmates in
You got a job to do. His job to make sure you do your job, and your job is to do it. That's it.
Is there any discrimination in the treatment of correctional officers against black inmates?
Very much. Quite a bit.
Can you give us some examples of those?
Well, like, take me for instance, right? Now, when I first came to B Block, they were lining up going to chow one day in the mess hall, right? So I got in the line. I went on to chow. This happened about 3 or 4 days. So this one particular correctional officer come up to me. He said, well, now, dig this. He said, I want you to get in front of the line because you're kind of a tall fellow. Now, this particular correctional officer likes to see his men lined up like little tin soldiers all down the line. Tallest in the front, the little guy in the back. So he tells me to get in front. So now I look at the dudes, and I don't know any of them. And to me, all the stories I've heard, they're cold-blooded killers, you know. So now I'm not going to be elbowing my way up there trying to please this dude and get in line with these dudes I don't know nothing about that's got to be in here for a duration of 10 to 20 years, 30 years and whatnot, because I don't want to step on nobody's toe, you know. So consequently, when I slide up in line, they look at me, right? So I look back at them, hey, what can I do? You know, dude put me here, you know, don't get mad at me, you know. So now I go to chow, you know, very uncomfortable, you know, but I go anyway, right? So now, when we come back, okay, another correctional officer comes on. This particular correctional officer is not on today. Another guy is in his place. So now when I go up to him, I say, hey, man, I said, what do I get in line? Right? He said, well, and he's standing up with his arms folded, and he has his ignorant stick in his hand, like this, you know. So right there, you get aware of intimidation. And you ask yourself, you know, why this dude got to stand up here in front of me with a stick all on his chest and whatnot? Why don't he put it behind him or something? You know, why don't he try to hide it or something? You know.
How do you feel about that stick? How does that stick make you feel?
How do I feel about the stick? Well, I myself, I don't particularly care for the stick. You understand? I don't particularly care for the stick at all. You know, when you come outside of the metal shop, or when you line up in the hall, you know, here's this guy beating on the wall. Bam, bam, bam. All right.
Excuse me, Mr. Can we stop one moment so he can change his tape? Oh, yeah. Brother Matthews, you were talking about the use of the sticks by officers.
Right.
You said that they beat them against the walls.
Right. They use this particular procedure to quiet inmates down.
Do they use it for any other reason? Do they
Intimidation.
In
to
what
let
way?
you know that they're establishment and you're a prisoner. This is more or less second nature with them. You know, this is a everyday occurrence. You know, everywhere you go, you got a correction officer with a stick. He has it wrapped around his hand with a little piece of rawhide. You know, and he carries it in so menacing manner. You know, all this is intimidation. Now, any man in his right mind can't dig this, can't understand it, plus he can't go for it. You know? Now, if I was to talk to you and I got a big stick in my hand, hey, you know.
So, your relationship with the officers has been that, one, you don't know what to expect because the rules are applied inconsistently.
Right.
Two, the general attitude, and then particularly the fact that the sticks are used, one, to direct you from one place to another,
Right.
and most importantly, to intimidate your manhood. Have you found that the officers will apply the rules differently to black inmates and white inmates?
Very much so. You know. Now, my impression when I came to Attica was that everybody was an inmate, whether you were black, brown, blue, or pink. But this isn't so. You understand? Now, they have instituted ideas long before I came, whereas there's a difference between
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you, so let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, you might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please won't you be my neighbor? Hi, neighbor.
The man from finance giving the men some advance expenses. Some men getting ready to go off duty, some going on duty. They're assembled here now. It's been a tough day. Here we see another group of the night shift drawing equipment and assembling. There's still another group of troopers getting ready to go on duty. 2 Army helicopters and the state police helicopter. Some troops assembled on the interior.
If you want a better picture of this thing across the street, they got it opened up for you.
A group of demonstrators outside the main entrance. The sign says, "We support the prisoners' demands." Holding it up apparently for the benefit of the incoming troops.